As we expected that Putin doesn't agree on ceasefire. Wow, what a news! Let's listen to his speech which he proclaimed today, so there will be the English subtitles just on the bottom.
Мы согласны с предложениями прекратить боевые действия.
So Putin said that, okay, we agree to the proposal to stop the hostilities, but, and then he put his own demands on Ukraine and the United States, by the way, once again.
Но исходим из того, что это прекращение должно быть таким, которое привело бы к долгосрочному миру и устранило бы первоначальные причины этого кризиса.
Ceasefire should be such that would lead to the long-term peace, yeah, obviously. So 30-day ceasefire period is not okay for Putin. And once again we have eliminate original roots of this crisis, which means eliminate Ukraine. In Putin's head, Ukraine is part of Russia. He said about it many of the times, like, we're historically united, blah blah blah. Basically his usual stupid bullshit, which you might hear from his interview to Tucker Carlson, for example. Also, in original roots you may include NATO's so-called expansion, as Russia says. Recall the proposal of the Russian Federation before they started this full-scale war. Russia wanted NATO to retreat from the neighboring countries like Baltic countries, Poland, Romania, and so on, which we understand was and still is absolutely unacceptable. So Putin, well, he doesn't search for solutions to end this war, no, he's searching for excuses to continue the war, because he's kind of comfortable in this environment.
Сама по себе идея правильная, и мы, безусловно, ее поддерживаем. Но есть вопросы, которые мы должны обсудить. И думаю, что нам нужно и с американскими нашими коллегами, партнерами на этот счет переговорить. Может быть, с президентом Трампом созвониться и вместе с ним пообсуждать.
It doesn't matter. Call to Trump, discuss with the partners, American colleagues and partners. It won't change a thing. Putin wants to occupy Ukraine. He wants to restore Russian empire, and no any force in the world, whether it's Trump or not Trump, is going to stop Vladimir Putin from attempts to achieve his goals.
А если в ближайшие дни произойдет физическое блокирование, то выйти вообще никто не сможет. Будет только два способа: сдаться в плен или погибнуть. И в этих условиях, мне кажется, для украинской стороны очень хорошо было бы добиться перемирия хотя бы на 30 суток. И мы за.
So he's saying that ceasefire is more profitable for the Ukrainian side. By the way, here we have just a part of this press conference. I don't want to play the full length for you, you may find it in internet, because you know it takes time. So Putin actually said his demands for Ukraine, like more demands. He said that if there is a ceasefire, Ukraine should not be allowed to receive any sort of the Western weaponry, and also shouldn't be allowed to mobilize soldiers to its army and to train them. Plus, Putin doesn't understand how you can control the ceasefire at this very long front line, which is almost 2,000 kilometers. And here, I have to agree with that statement. It's impossible to control this long front line. It's something new, it has never been done like that before, so technically I would say it's close to impossible. So Putin is openly finding some sort of the excuses not to agree on Trump's proposal. He said, okay, Trump's deal is interesting, we should speak about it, but here are our usual demands, so we'll do everything as Putin said. And we absolutely do not care about what Donald Trump wants. Guys, for me it was like logical from the very beginning. And you know, I'm a little frustrated because even I understand that. If you watch my channel, you understand that, because you're a sane person here, but Donald Trump, he doesn't understand. He thinks that he knows everything, but he is in lack of competence in many of the questions, including Ukrainian war. So what Donald Trump wants from Putin is just unachievable. It's nonsense to request peace from Putin. Unfortunately, my friends, while Putin has his power, he is determined to conquer Ukraine, and not only Ukraine. Yeah, by the way, hello my friends and welcome. My name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go. Yeah, sometimes I hate to be right, but I right in many of the cases. And here is the visit of Putin towards the Kursk region. Not to the front lines, no, just to the Kursk region. Gerasimov, where is ammunition?
Действительно, наша задача в ближайшее время, в кратчайшие сроки, окончательно разгромить противника.
Putin is wearing military uniform. Day after the deal was agreed, like ceasefire deal was agreed between United States delegation and Ukrainian one. Well, it's not the first time Putin is wearing uniform in this war, but the last time he was wearing it was in 2022. And it is a big sign for everyone that Russia is not willing to stop. They want to fight, to continue this war, because Putin himself, like personally, he's kind of comfortable in this environment. Why am I saying so? Well, because Russia still has some of the volunteers, they hire some of the prisoners from their prisons to fight in this war, they have lots of the meat still and potential mobilization. The Russian economy is mainly put on the war rails and it's impossible to stop it right away. Just imagine almost 700,000 soldiers coming back to Russia where they will not find any sort of the jobs, ex-prisoners under amnesty who received kind of the good salary that they're served in military but later on not any longer. The same goes for people who are involved in military production. They receive also kind of the highest salary nowadays. So not just the Russian economy will suffer more, potentially it might create some of the internal instability in Russia, which Putin absolutely would not like to see. That's why the current state for him is more than comfortable. Just look at him. He's a boss, he's in charge, he is like the main commander of the mighty Russian army. He has some sort of the victories. Not Kiev in 3 days, Suja in 7 months, but still it's okay for him to proclaim some sort of the victories. That's why, my friends, unfortunately, meat grinder continues and there are absolutely no sign for it to ceasefire, to stop, negotiate or something. No, it's just not possible with Putin. And it seems like Donald Trump is up to find out this feature of the Russian dictator, that it's impossible to negotiate with him. By the way, my friends, if you want to support the job that I do here on YouTube, I recommend you to join me on Patreon. The link for my Patreon page you may find just in the video description below. Thank you so much for supporting my motivation. Oh my god, Ukraine and Russia agreed to implement ceasefire. Wow, there will be a ceasefire. All of the prisoners of war will be exchanged. Awesome, guys, awesome. Just one thing, this article is dated from 10th of December 2019. We already were there in this situation. Yeah, why am I still in the headphones? Zelensky said before, I want ceasefire, I will go and speak with Putin, we're gonna sign the documents. They went there, they signed some of the documents, Merkel and Macron guaranteed all of that. Okay, ceasefire, 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 but Putin saw in Zelensky that he might give up Ukrainian interest completely, surrendering Ukraine to Russia and being like second Lukashenko of Ukraine. But Zelensky didn't follow that. He thought that he could negotiate with Russia, but it's simply not possible. So Donald Trump does the same mistake as Zelensky did before. Zelensky told it himself that Donald Trump is making my mistakes that I've did in 2019. It was a bad idea to negotiate with Putin because later on he just stopped responding to any sort of the calls from Zelensky that we sign a ceasefire, but still there is shooting on the front lines. Putin, we need to do something. Putin answered a couple of times, yes, 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 we're gonna exchange prisoners of war, yes, 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 shooting will stop. And later on, after a couple of calls, Putin just stopped communicating with the Ukrainian side completely. It's not his interest to stop the war. His interest is to continue it and to conquer Ukraine. I'm telling you about it in every of my videos, and here is the evidence. Evidence like implemented ceasefire and everything. Wow, that Putin is not negotiable person. The only way is to support Ukraine with military. So Donald Trump should understand that Ukraine should be provided with enough military to stop the Russian offensive on the front lines, to secure Ukraine, peaceful Ukrainians. Plus, Ukraine should obtain enough air defense systems to shut down all of their cruise missiles, drones, and so on. So Ukraine should have absolutely great and strong army to show Putin that he is not able to achieve his goal in a military way. An American orange idiot doesn't understand that. Still, some of the European politicians also do not understand that, and some even play in favor of the Russian interests. I'm speaking about Orban and Fico, and partially Donald Trump, I guess. Putin's political advisor Ushakov, who is very, very close to Putin, also say that Russia shouldn't follow this ceasefire agreement, 30 days agreement proposed by Donald Trump. So Russia almost openly saying that Donald Trump, get lost with your ideas, we don't care about you. It's Russia here. We go, we take what we want by force, we rape, we destroy, we ambush. Yes, we are barbarians, and that's how we work. We have nuclear weaponry, even more than you, so you'll not do anything with us. That's the idea of Russia. Gangsters, absolute barbarian gangsters. Well, it seems like American elite already understood that it's not going according to plan. That's why probably they will not extend the license to buy Russian oil, so it expired yesterday, and that means that European countries and our allies can no longer buy oil from Russia without sanctions from the United States being imposed. Plus, we have a statement from Donald Trump. This was recorded today, and I'll have to put my headphones once again to listen to this monologue. Let's listen to it.
Well, we'd like to see a ceasefire from Russia, and we have not been working in the dark. We've been discussing with Ukraine land and pieces of land that would be kept and lost. And
so they discussed the pieces of land that would be kept and lost. I think for Donald Trump personally, it doesn't really matter if Ukraine keeps Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk Oblast under control, or should it withdraw its forces voluntarily from those regions which Russia claims their land after illegal referendum.
All of the other elements of a final agreement. There's a power plant involved, a very big power plant involved.
Nuclear power plant Zaporizhia, so it was in negotiations between Ukrainian and American delegations. Nice.
Who's going to get the power plant and who's going to get this and that? And so, it's a lot of the individual subjects have been discussed, though. We've been discussing concepts of land because you don't want to waste time with the ceasefire if it's not going to mean anything. So we're saying, look, this is what you can get, this is what you can't get. They discussed NATO and being in NATO, and everybody knows what the answer to that is. They've known that answer for 40 years, in all fairness.
So Ukraine will not be taken in NATO, well, under current White House administration, 100%.
A lot of the details of a final agreement have actually been discussed. Now we're going to see whether or not Russia's there, and if they're not, it'll be a very disappointing moment for the world.
So he admits that Russia could be not there. It is good, actually. After all, it's good, because we see that Russia is actually not there. Donald Trump, Russia is not there. What would you do next? Like, the only option that I see is to support Ukraine with more and more weaponry. There is no other choice for Donald Trump's administration to save the face. Otherwise, they would openly play in interests of Russia if they just abandon Ukraine, if Donald Trump abandons Ukraine personally. Well, as a variant, United States and Ukraine signed the mineral deal, after all, to show to electorate to people who support MAGA that Donald Trump is not given weapons for free. No, Ukraine pays for that with some sort of the rare mineral resources. Which is actually funny for me, because those resources should be founded first, then taken from the ground, then invested into some of the Ukrainian projects according to the agreement. It might take years and years to convert everything of that to the real money. So we're speaking about something which is not there, but if it helps to secure the military deal for Ukraine, it is good. And after all, according to Ukrainian constitution, all of the natural resources belong not to the companies or something, they belong to Ukrainian people. So Ukrainian constitutional court at any moment, if requested, may stop this deal. So yeah, you can sign it, but later on, court may stop it. It's actually a good variant for Ukraine, because the deal, after all, is illegal. Even if Zelensky signs it or Ukrainian government signs it, it is not valid. According to Ukrainian constitution, again, you need to change constitution at first and then sign this deal. It is just there for Donald Trump and MAGA to be happy about it. At least that is how I see it personally, and that's why I hesitated to comment a lot on this deal, because it's useless. But what scares me, guys, a lot in Donald Trump, that his policy is very similar to Putin's. Today he openly says that he doesn't exclude the annexation of Greenland. He says that it's for the international stability and security for Greenland to be the part of the United States of America, which is absolutely delulu. So if he does that, annexing territory using military force, there is absolutely no difference between Donald Trump and Putin. The methods would be the same, and next it's gonna be other countries like Canada, for example. That Donald Trump may push Ukraine harder for Ukraine to follow those Putin's demands in some sort of the peace deal. He might again stop the military support of Ukraine. He might call Ukraine to stop mobilization, call for elections, I know, give up territories and kiss Putin's ass, but Donald Trump only is good in that. But Ukrainian officials already say that they will not follow that bullshit. No, not any longer. And luckily we still have allies in Europe which will continue to help Ukraine. So the question now goes to Donald Trump's reaction. And as for me, Donald Trump doesn't have any sort of the tools to act on Russia firmly, to change Putin's opinion or decision made in Kremlin. You may say sanctions and so on. Well, all of the sanctions were mainly implemented on Russia already before by Western countries and the United States of America. So then Donald Trump or someone from his team says about possible sanctions on Russia, Putin is just laughing in Kremlin, because Russia has the great number of the countries which continue to trade with Russia, including China, India, and many others. Plus, Russia still may trade even with some of the European countries and the United States of America, using some of the dark schemes. So the only option left for Donald Trump is to supply military support for Ukraine, more than usual, like way more. Would he do it? Well, just a little tiny chance for that, but still there is the chance. If Putin really harms Donald Trump might do it. But so far, they're like good old mates. I wouldn't say that they argue on something, especially then their methods to achieve their goals are mainly the same. But nevertheless, we have some of the good news from the United States of America. They renewed the supplyment of the long-range gliding bombs to Ukraine. I can't recall the name of those shells. Probably you may help me in the comment section below, because you guys, you know everything, sometimes more than me, yes. But what I remember that the range of it is more than 100 kilometers, and those being used for the standard HIMARS systems. That's how United States want to replace ATACMS shortage in Ukraine, because Ukraine fired all of the ATACMS missiles already. Well, we'll see how it goes. ATACMS would be obviously better in this case, but we have what we have. At least those shells will go. It's called GLSDB shell, and it has the range of 100 miles. Yeah, I found it already. Oh, by the way, a potato dictator Lukashenko today stated that if Russia establishes good relations with the United States of America, Europe and Ukraine will go down to the tube. And definitely we see how United States and Russia re-establish their connections. Well, we'll see how it goes after Putin absolutely declined Trump's peace plan. That is what we expected, actually. And about Belarus, well, it's been annexed by Russia fully, because according to the new agreement they signed, Belarus and Russia from now on have the cross-election model. So it means that citizens of Belarus may elect someone in Russia, like president, parliament. The same goes for Russia. So Russian president, this one, dictator at the moment, could be elected as president of Belarus as well. And may Lukashenko jump into this place? Well, I think he will be no more. Did someone say this guy, Keith Kellogg, he is not taking part in any sort of negotiations about Ukraine and Russia any longer? As NBC News say, Russia doesn't like Keith Kellogg, that's why they insisted for him to leave negotiation team. And Donald Trump agreed on that. happily. Alright guys, I'm kind of tired about those political news because for me it was understandable that it will be like that from the very beginning. And yes, I'm just shocked about the incompetence of some of the politicians, especially in the United States of America. They think that they can solve this issue with Putin. What a stupid idea. So now let's move to the front lines because we have some of the updates from the Kursk region. So after all, Ukraine keeps the control over this territory, not over the Sudzha town itself, but here there's the presence of the Ukrainian army. And Putin today actually was concerned about Ukrainian soldiers still in the Kursk region. He said that if there is a ceasefire, what should we do with those? They should surrender. They should surrender to us and we're gonna treat them as terrorists. Here you can say also Russia entered Sumy region already. The fight is ongoing in Basivka village. Not a good sign. It means that Russia may use their accumulated forces to advance further to Sumy. And as you can see, they use some of the drones and even airstrikes on Ukrainian positions in Sumy, in some of the villages. But miraculously, Ukraine also uses airstrikes, causing losses for Russia. But mainly, yes, there is the big success of the Russian army in Sudzha, and I predict that in the coming days, Ukraine will finally fully withdraw the forces from the Kursk region. There is just weak resistance for now from Ukrainian side. All of the defense is made just to withdraw the army from Kursk. In the southern part of Guva, there are just minor fights happening. So yeah, the picture in Kursk isn't good for Ukraine, but it's pretty much expected. Now I got some of the comments from the Russian bots saying that the Russian tube operation after all was successful. That's what leads to this story. That is what happened, but it's just a Russian propaganda. A Russian tube operation was a complete failure for the Russian soldiers. Russians themselves wrote about it. I showed you some of the images and videos of how those Russian forces were ambushed after they left the tube. So we have the evidence from many of the sites that it was the failure of the Russian army. They were successful in their normal advancement on the ground, on top of the ground. Yes, they are successful, but the tube operation was nonsense and was spread just by the Russian propaganda saying about something new strategy introduced into the Russian army. An absolute genius of the Russian generals, a game changer in this war. Tube operations, which is really funny, especially when I read those comments. Russia is advancing here because Ukraine is retreating from the place. That's the only reason for the Russian advancement. It is a political will from Ukrainian army to leave this territory. Russians, tell me, what is happening in Pokrovsk direction? Because, you know, after all, it's not good for you there, even though Putin says that Russian army is on a full-scale offense. It has the advantage. What is this? Blue, blue, blue. Do you have the advantage? And not long time ago, Ukraine pushed Russians out from Novosilka village, so yes, there is an update from this area as well. Well, the front lines here are just boiling. Russia also may take some of the territories, small territories under control, but clearly for now they don't have advantage in the eastern side of Ukraine. Ukraine broke any sort of the initiative of the Russian army. Their fast-forward offensive operation towards Pokrovsk absolutely stalled. So yeah, it's the standstill situation on the front lines, actually. All except of Kursk region where Ukraine voluntarily withdraws its army. Right, Zelensky also stated that Putin is drifting away from the Trump's ceasefire proposal. It is understandable, like 2 + 2 = 4. But now like all of the cards are open. To economy news, some people say about the drop of the stock price of Tesla company and many others. Well, what can I say? Definitely dropped. Here we have the rise of it. It happened today. If we take 5 days, yes, it's unstable. 1 month, huge drop. But if you check like 6 months, you'll see that the price was even lower in October 2024 than it is today. And this hump happened just because Donald Trump was elected in November elections. So investors expected something good to happen to Elon Musk's company, like originally made by Elon Musk, but Elon Musk is just one of the owners, of the shareholders of the company. So the maximum was roughly 470, but now it's 240, and here it was even lower. So yeah, this hype just went down to the normal price. rise. We're not speaking about any sort of the issue for Tesla company after all. There is even a rise in general for the past 6 months by 4.5%. So no, Tesla is not crushing at all. It is just over-exaggerated in media. I don't like Elon Musk. I don't like also Tesla, maybe Model S. I only like because of its look. It's really sporty, it's nice, but in general, Elon Musk company, yeah, I don't like it, but I have to say the things as they are, and Tesla is not struggling, no. But in the future, obviously it may struggle as the United States and global economy in general, because Donald Trump applies tariffs left and right. So Tesla warns Trump's administration that it is exposed to retaliatory tariffs, aluminum and many other things which are used to produce those vehicles. And that's why we should expect the rise of the prices for automobile vehicles in general, not just for Tesla but for every sort of the vehicle because of the tariffs. Okay, so this is Saratov, and the Ukrainian drones are flying there. They were flying towards Saratov in the morning, last night, and this night as well. Saratov is one of those places which are very popular for Ukrainian long-range drones. Well, maybe because there is lots of the military and oil infrastructure in Saratov. So yes, guys, unfortunately we see that this war has no chances to be stopped just right now abruptly with some of the initiative coming from Trump's administration. No, it's just not possible to achieve it with Putin, and all of the world should finally understand that. My prediction that this war may continue even for years and years ahead. Again, unfortunately, I would like to see a ceasefire in Ukraine implemented today, but at the same time we see what Putin is saying, we see what the Russian regime really is. It brings devastation and it doesn't want to stop. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna keep you updated, and now please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, it helped me a lot, and as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.